Hey guys, I'm Shawn Cheek of WebPianoTeacher.com. How you doing today? We're going to learn how to play in flats using an actual real song. It's called "I'll Follow You" by John McLaughlin. And let's take a listen to what we're going to learn today. All right, there's a little piece of it there. So, how are you guys? I'm doing great here in Waco, Texas. It's kind of crisp this morning with the cool air. Loving it because it's usually hot here. So it's been great having the cooler weather. But we're going to get into this. I use a piano tablature that I invented, I don't know, gosh, 20-something years ago. But I've been 18 years online doing this, and it's just a different way to learn. If you've had trouble reading music, or you just play by ear, or you just want to jump in and start playing your favorite songs. That tends to be the thing that people usually do with my lessons. But let's get into it here. All right, so probably need a little piano experience before you jump in here because you need to know the names of the keys and just kind of general basic things. And if you have that sort of basic understanding of a beginner, then early intermediate, you should be okay with this. All right, so we will start with the left hand. And we're going to be on flats here. And the flat is just that little B-looking thing there next to the letters, okay? And you're just going to go to the note to the left, okay? Whether it's black or white, most of the time it'll be a black key. And in this song, it'll always be a black key. So if I play an A here on the left hand, it's an A flat instead, which I just go one key to the left. Down a half step is what we call that. Okay, so you're on the black keys, and don't let that frighten you because it's just a matter of getting used to it. It's not that it's hard to play in flats, just we kind of are scared to do it sometimes, and then we don't ever do it, so it's always seems foreign. But I'll tell you, if you get used to playing in flats, it's kind of hard to go back to no flats. It really is. Same with sharps. But A flat, E flat is what we'll start with, okay? And we're playing an A flat major chord. All right. So with my lessons, people say, do you teach theory? Do you have theory lessons? I do on the website, but I teach theory in the song, okay? Because music is real and alive, and it can be applied directly to the songs we're playing. So I like to, instead of going off somewhere and learning theory and then coming back, I like to teach you theory in the song, okay? So I give you those things in every lesson. A flat, C, E flat is an A flat chord. So that's what you're going to see in this measure. Look at that. Everything's an A flat, a C, or an E flat, and that's the foundation of an A flat chord. Even if you do an A flat 7 or 9 or 11, 13, sharp 5, whatever you're doing, this is the basis for an A flat chord, okay? All right, with that in mind, the left hand's going to go A flat, E flat. I'm going to use a 3. Some people like to use a 2. That's okay. I'm going to use a 3. And then the C is up here on my thumb. Now, I don't have to reach this. I don't have to, A flat to C. That's a big reach there. I'm just going to go kind of pivot on that middle finger. See that? 1 and 2 and. And then this is still an A flat chord because it's still A flat, C, E flat. You say, well, where's the E flat? It's in the right hand. It's also just understood because we've been playing it the whole measure. And you can hold the pedal down, the right pedal, for the whole thing. Okay? Work on that for a little bit. Just the left hand. 1 and 2. Again. Okay, so you work on that for a little bit. Play that over and over again because most people quit learning an instrument not because they can't do it or they're not talented or you think you're stupid or something. That's ridiculous. You just have to know how to practice. And this works not just on an instrument, on piano, but on guitar, on learning a craft. If you're learning how to be a smith, and learning the skills of any kind of skill you want to learn, this is how you do it. You break it down and you take one technique and you work on that little part until you have it, and then you move on, okay? So this is the reason most people quit, in my opinion, and I think it's the truth because I've taught lessons for almost 40 years, and I've seen it. Okay, work on that left hand, get it down, don't move on till you have a pretty good handle on it. Okay, don't overdo it where you expect perfection. None of us are perfect. Just where you can kind of do it, all right? Right hand, E flat on the thumb, and then E flat octave. 3 of those, then an A flat after that. Okay, I'm using my 2 finger there. And then we're going to add the E flat there. Okay, so it's 1. And you don't have to worry about counting it so much because the left hand and right hand together are going to make you count it. There's an 8th note beat going on the whole time. See, da, 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 da. Since there's an 8th note beat going on the whole time, you don't really have to be able to play one hand at a time and count it. You just have to keep it going. Da, 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 da. Okay, so notice I did my left hand, did my right hand, put them together. And those take repetitions, not just one time. A repetition is at least 2. 3's good, all right? And if you get up to 5 or 7, sometimes that's even a little better. Left hand, right hand, put them together, okay? And then work on them playing together. Do repetitions on having them together. Don't do it just one time, okay? That's how you practice. It's so simple, but everyone misses that, and that's why you quit. Whether you use my method or someone else's, doesn't matter what method you're using, but you have to work at it in an organized fashion to where you're not just, swimming at sea and hoping things work out, because they're not going to work out unless you have a system of practice in place. And this is very simple. Now what do? Move on to the next measure. Whoops, there we go. All right, so the next measure is... Now, I'm not going to take the care that I've taken on that first measure for every measure of the song. We'd never get done. What I'm wanting you to do, I'm teaching you how to fish. Now you can fish on this measure, this measure, this measure, okay? So let's look at the second measure. Okay. This sort of goes to a D flat major 7 here. There can be some debate on that. If you're a theory person, but I don't want to fight about what other people want to call the chord. It seems like a D flat major 7 to me, mostly. All right, so D flat, A flat, C on the left hand. 5, 2, 1, 2. Okay, and then we're going to go back down. You can almost think of it as we're still on the A flat chord, but the bass note goes to a D flat just for a second there. Okay. So however you want to think of it, there's always, there's sometimes a couple of correct ways to look at the chords that seem to differ. But as long as you make it make sense in your head, that's the important thing. That you have come to grips with it, and then it, however you want to think of it, you think of it in some way. And we do that because chords are the roadmap to songs, okay? They help you knowing, you know the language of music, as I always say. All right, so... work on that left hand. And the right hand, I'm going to do the same thing. As far as just playing it through. Notice the E flat on my thumb is my anchor. So I can just stay there. And the top goes A flat, B flat, B flat, A, B, C, C, C at the end. A couple times, then we put them together. Again. Do it again. Well, now what do? I worked on one measure. I worked on the second measure. I put them together. Okay. Remember Legos, and you worked on one package. It's maybe says 1 on it, and then package 2. You work on that, and then eventually they have you put them together. Right? It's kind of the same idea. I worked on first measure. Worked on the second measure. Now I'm going to put them together. And it may take you 2 days to do those 2 measures. Who cares? It may take you 30 minutes to do those 2 measures. Again, who cares? As long as you're doing a sustainable thing where you feel like I accomplished something. Doesn't matter how small it is. If you have an accomplishment there, as you can keep that pattern up, and eventually you'll learn the whole song given enough time. And you'll get faster at doing those patterns, okay? All right, but you have to set yourself up for success. So I'll put those two measures together. You may not go as fast as I'm going, and that's okay. If you're going slower, that's okay. If you have pauses, that's okay too. Those will tend to disappear the longer you play it. So don't feel like you have to force those pauses out. You have pauses because you're trying to think, okay? And that's okay to think. They'll disappear after enough good repetitions, usually. Okay? So let's go to the third measure, and I'm going to give you a little advice here that will help you, whether you go on and use someone else's lessons or mine, or you're skipping around, whatever you're doing, make use of the pause button, okay? Don't ever say, oh, they're going too fast. They might be, but you have the pause button. You also have the slow down button. I have that on my website too, where you can, if you're watching a lesson video, you can hit half speed or whatever it is. It'll slow the video down without changing the pitch so that you can really see and hear what's going on. All right, so use the pause button. Stop the lesson and you work, and then you come back, okay? Make use of the pause button. Left hand, B flat, F, D flat, C, 5, 2, 1, 1. Okay? So that's a B flat minor. Okay, and I'm using thumb. Some teachers will say, never use thumb. And I say sometimes use thumb because it's the easiest way. You're just sliding off. Chopin did it all the time. So I'm going to use thumb there. A flat, C, B flat. All right? Been, be 51 this year. Been playing piano all of my life by big time, and thumb never has hurt me. I love thumb when it's appropriate. It's not always appropriate. A flat, or A flat, E flat, C, B flat. I'm gonna go 5, 3, 1, 2. Okay. The numbers I'm saying are finger numbers. You start with the thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So the right hand's gonna be after you practice the left hand. But I want you to do one thing for me. You need to change your pedal when you go to this chord. This is a B flat minor. Okay, B flat, D flat, F is the chord when you reduce it down. So what's the C doing in there? It's just an added, you've heard that. It's called an add 2. Won't get into that now, but it's B flat minor and then A flat. And you say, what's the B flat doing in there? Same reason the C was in this one. Just adds a little color to the chord. Okay, just change your pedal so that these chords do not blur and sound like that. Change it. So you lift it up, put it back down to catch that A flat to start the new chord. Right hand. Again, we still have the E flat as the anchor. If you ever have a bunch of chords, look for a note that stays the same. Usually there is one that stays the same most of the time. So there's my E flat on my thumb. I can just stay right there. The top goes C, A flat, B flat, B flat, B flat at the end. All right. Hands together. Okay, again. Work on it. Pedal. Do some good repetitions. And then what do? Well, you've learned. We learned 3 measures. Now we put them together. Haven't put them together yet. So put the third measure. You say, well, I've been working on this for 3 days. Again, who cares? As long as you are progressing and having fun and feeling like you accomplished something, who cares that it's only 3 measures? Because you get to 4 measures. 4 measures will turn into 8, will turn into 16, and you'll eventually have the whole thing. Since music repeats a lot of times, it won't take the amount of time that you have at the beginning and multiply it out. You'll get faster at learning, and then that time will be cut down. But set yourself up for success by only doing the amount that you can handle, okay, for one sitting. So, back. There we go. All right. We're going to look at the 4th measure. So I didn't go back and add it on, do some repetitions, but you should. And I've shown you how to do it, so you can do it. And what do? You hit pause and you work on it, and then I'm here when you get back. All right. E flat, B flat, E flat, G, 5, 3, 2, 1. Okay? And some of you say, well, what's on the website, Shawn? It's all do part 1's on YouTube, and the rest of the lessons for everything are on my website. It's how I make a living. All right, so yeah, I'd give everything away for free if someone would give me money to live on, but haven't found anyone to do that, so have to make a living. And I teach what I'm doing now. I teach these in all of the lessons that are on the site for 18 years because that's just the only way I know to do it. teach you theory and technique in the lessons of real songs. E flat, B flat, G. Look at that E flat still on the thumb. Then an A flat at the end. And play it, with expression, with feeling, which means you push and pull the tempo. A flat at the end. If it looks graceful and beautiful, it'll sound graceful and beautiful most of the time. So if you're real rigid and stiff, it's going to sound rigid and stiff. Be free. Move that elbow out. Let your elbow be free to move. And your wrist. And this left hand was an E flat chord. I'm going to go 5, 3, 2, 1 on this E flat chord. E flat, G, B flat. Hands together now, because you've done your reps on your right and left hand, right? And you've hit the pause button, worked on it. Now we're ready. Now I am going to play these 4 measures for you together as an example of good repetition. So I will do that right now. I'm going to play all 4 measures, and that's the pattern. So you've learned, music tends to happen in 4s and 8s and 16s, 32, 64, so on. So a 4-measure group is a good amount. And then you start a new thing when you start the next group. You can't always go back to the first measure because then it's going to get really long running back and forth, right? So you start a new thing when you start the next 4 measures. And then when you start the next 4 measures, start a new thing. And then eventually you will put those big houses together, okay? But still work in the same manner, but you have to, make a new starting place to work on. If you don't, you'll never get to the end, and the beginning will get really good, and the rest of it will always stink. Here's the whole 4 measures at the beginning. Okay, so now we're going to move on, and I'm going to, let this, I'm going to play this for you, but you can see this, you can work on it. And the sheet, you say, well, where do you get those sheets, Shawn, that you do? They're on my website. You can download them as a member if you're, paying the month, $20 a month, cancel anytime. You can have the opportunity to get sheets. And then have the sheets for yourself. Put them on a big screen. Print them out, whatever you want to do. But having the sheets are helpful to a lot of people. Okay, so here's the next 4. All right, guys, so there's another line on here on the first page. There's 8 pages to finish the whole thing. John McLaughlin, I'll Follow You. Beautiful song. See you on webpianoteacher.com. We'll finish it together. Talk to you later.